Final Destination 6, or Final Destination Bloodlines as it's popularly called, was released on May 16th, Friday. I watched the movie yesterday. It took me one day to come up with this review, and a lot of people were messaging me on Instagram saying, "Where is the review, Akhil?" And here is the review for you guys. In short, if I have to tell you, this movie was one of the best theater experiences I've had, and that is thanks to 4DX. So if you watch Final Destination Bloodlines in a 4DX theater, I can guarantee you this experience is going to be one of the kind, like it was for me. And Menon Rating for Final Destination Bloodlines in 4DX theater is 8 out of 10, which means it is damn good. You should watch it. And if you're watching it, I am telling you, you watch it in OTT, you watch it on your mobile phone, you watch it on a very, very bad sound system, and then you see, this movie is not great. Then I am not responsible, because I am purely telling you my perspective from watching this movie in 4DX. So I have watched a lot of Hollywood movies. Actually, I watched some Hollywood movies in 4DX. Like Bullet Train, for example. So what happens in 4DX is your chair is basically shaking as per the movements that are happening on screen. There is wind that is being directed at you. There is water being sprayed at you. There are lights that are being flickered at you based on the scenario in the movie. So when I watched Bullet Train, the problem was the entire movie or majority of the movie was happening on a train. So my chair was constantly shaking me, which after a point started becoming very irritating, because you're sitting and watching the movie and your chair is constantly making you feel uncomfortable. But when it came to Final Destination 6, I had this sort of feeling that it could be a good choice, because it's a jump scare movie, right? Like the chair has to keep you constant, and then suddenly there's some scene that happens, and then it has to shake you and make you feel scared, because it's got a lot of those moments. And I'm telling you, this movie has a lot of these kills, where people die, and then there's things thrown at you, and then there's blood splattering. And in those moments, especially if there's an accident scenario or something, your chair is literally shaking you up, and then when the blood splatters on screen, there's water being pumped on your face. So I get it, it's not everybody's kind of an experience, but for me, somebody who likes going for novel experiences, somebody who likes trying out something new, this was definitely a one-of-a-kind experience. And this is one of the best Final Destination movies in the franchise, as per me, as well as according to critics. As mentioned in the Instagram reel, we are going to dive deeper into the technical aspects and the other details of the movie in this longer YouTube version. So for all the YouTube viewers, if I take the 4DX part out of this movie, if you ask me how was the movie by itself, it's one of the best parts or the best Final Destination movies in the Final Destination franchise. As per the critic rating, as per my personal experience, I can tell you, the movie hooks you from the very beginning. And unlike the other Final Destination movies, I'm pretty sure all of us grew up watching one or two Final Destination movies if we were following Hollywood movies, say in the 2000s, late 2000s, 2010s. We would have all been exposed to the Final Destination template, where basically a bunch of people, a group of friends, evade death, and then death starts following them, and then they die in very, very gory, scary, creative ways. So the whole template of Final Destination has always been about how people die, more creative ways, how they show those deaths on screen has always been the formula Final Destination franchise has always relied on. And this movie has some very, very unique ways of deaths portrayed on screen. And like I told you, 4DX definitely amplifies that effect when you're in the theater. And it also goes a step forward. It takes a step further, and it kind of dives deeper into certain questions that we would have always had when we started watching the Final Destination franchise, where we would be like, if somebody escapes death and they go on to have children, that those children were supposed to not be there in the first place, because the parent was supposed to be dead to start with. So this movie starts from that one-liner, or focus on that premise. What if a few people escape death and then they went on to have children? Those children are supposed to die, and this movie has portrayed all of that in a very, very creative and interesting way, like I said. And all the deaths were pretty much unpredictable according to me. I'm not somebody who loves a lot of violence and gore on screen, but this one, I have to admit, was a lot of fun to watch. The deaths were funny. I would say this movie has a comic underlining to it. Like, it's kind of a comedy come horror sort of a genre, I would say. And as much as you will get scared, you will also have fun laughing and watching these deaths on screen. Last but not the least, if you ask me who should watch this movie, if you are a Final Destination fan, you should definitely give this movie a check out in the theater. You should not wait for this movie to come in the OTT platforms, like I mentioned at the very start of the video. Secondly, if you're somebody who's looking for a novel experience like me, you want to try something new, you want to kind of feel you're not watching or having the same experience over and over again, you should definitely check out Final Destination Bloodlines in 4DX, like I mentioned. And one last thing I want to leave with the audiences before I end this video is I did see some self-proclaimed YouTube reviewers saying this movie is absolute shit. What I felt after listening to the reviews and then going and watching this movie is that some of these YouTube reviewers don't even know what they're talking about. They don't have the background or the history of the franchise. They don't understand why the fans go for these movies in the first place. The guy I was listening to even said that the deaths were like repeating itself and it was very predictable. Like, that's the whole point of Final Destination franchise. And I feel like some of these film reviewers, just to get views and attention, they just give extreme reviews where they mostly put down movies or degrade movies. But I think you should just talk about your perspective, and then if you can't understand who these movies are being made for, you should actually shut your mouth and let the people who really want to watch these movies go to the theaters and enjoy these experiences, especially since this is coming out after 14 years we're getting to see a Final Destination movie. So I hope you guys check it out in theaters if it's your kind of movie. If not, no worries, enjoy your other movies.